What's up, guys? It's me again, Nebula, and this is the long-awaited tutorial for vibration bass. One of my favorite sounds of all time. It is one of the most difficult sounds to learn for me, or it was. My method is a little different than most people's, than everyone's really. I mean, it's related in some ways, but I'm going to explain everything differently. So it's like most people teach it as doing a tensed voice and pushing it until you get a crackle, and then you add throat bass or something along those lines and you'll get vibration bass. That is true, but that never worked for me. That didn't help me learn it. But my method does use that same concept. It's just I'm going to explain it differently, right? But before I get into the tutorial itself, I want to sort of just talk about what the sound actually is, how does it work, and how is it related to throat bass, because it is, contrary to what Remix has to say, it is technically still throat bass. It's just a form of throat bass. It's a variation of it, a lower subharmonic. So anatomically, what it is the false folds vibrating with the vocal cords at a specific interval. I forget what it is. Should have done my homework. But it basically creates an undertone, a subharmonic. Throat bass is the first subharmonic of throat singing, false fold subharmonics, and that is an octave below the fundamental note, which is what your vocal cords are doing. Vibration bass, the false folds vibrate slower, creating a larger undertone that is an octave and a fifth below the fundamental note. So the second subharmonic. And theoretically, it goes on forever. I've heard some people even reach down to the fourth, fifth, possibly the sixth subharmonic with false fold singing. That's crazy. I have no idea how you would even begin to achieve something like that. But I'm stuck with the second. I can't, vibration bass. I've been trying to figure out how to get lower, and I just can't. So the false folds are the primary source of the sound's vibration. The arytenoids are also involved to some capacity, potentially the area epiglottic folds as well. It's unclear. They're not really the source of the sound, but they are involved in some way. I don't really know how, and it's the same for throat bass as well. But the primary source is the false folds. All right, how do you do it? Well, so my method is a bit complicated, I will say. There's two components here, okay? So we're prerequisite, you do need to know throat bass. Technically, you don't need throat bass to learn vibration bass. You can just learn vibe bass on its own, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. And for my method, you do need to know throat bass, all right? So if you don't know throat bass, though I learned it the same way everybody else does. You clear your throat like a grunt, and you just hold it out. Whoa, all right, quick throat bass tutorial right there. And it would be interesting, though, if someone learned vibration bass without knowing throat bass. I wonder how difficult it would be to then learn throat bass. How hard would it be to go backwards? Interesting to think about. But anyway, start with throat bass, okay? And we're going to do two things. We're going to A, hollow out our throat as much as possible, and B, we're going to tighten up the upper part of our throat. Now, it's easy to visualize this as not really your throat that you're tightening, it's your neck, all right? The first component is to hollow out your throat here, sort of at the bottom. It's the easy way to visualize it, right? Like you're opening up your throat like you're yawning, or doing a hollow sound like a hollow clap. Now, you can't really do this to that extent with throat bass, but you visualize yourself. It almost becomes non-vocalized. The vocal is still in there. It's just hard to hear because the vibration gets so messy and rumbly, gravelly. This is not to be confused with my method of achieving zombie bass. All right, that is more of a relaxed throat bass, but the larynx is still up, all right? The larynx doesn't move, really. I mean, it probably does, but I'm not intentionally doing it. Here, I'm actively trying to hollow my throat out, right? I'm not necessarily trying to get my throat bass lower. I'm just hollowing my throat with it. All right. So that's the first step. The second step is to tense these muscles up here, okay, under your chin. These are mostly the hyoid structures. They aid in the act of swallowing, okay? It's also what you engage when you do chest bass, and your larynx goes up and kind of tucks away. Kermit voice, you can see, I'm doing that by engaging these muscles. You want to learn to engage these muscles without raising the larynx, all right? Now, it still goes up slightly, but not like it does with chest bass or anything of that nature. All right, that's the sound you're looking for. Now, that sounds nasal, but it isn't. That's 100% through my mouth. Okay? So basically, you want to try and sound nasal without being nasal. You want to apply this to throat bass. Just a disclaimer here. When I first started practicing vibration bass, these muscles, especially on this side, I'm pretty sure I actually strained one of them. They got super sore, like to the point where it was painful. Don't push it too far. If it starts to get uncomfortable, take a break, all right? Give yourself rest, drink water, stay hydrated. It's important. But you want to apply this tension to throat bass. Now, for me, it automatically goes into vibration bass because I know how to do the sound. But at first, it didn't do that. It just created a very unpleasant sound to the ear, very ugly. And there's also a chance that you can get a different sound from this. And I'll touch on that later because that actually is a different method. So that's where the crackle comes in, all right? That's what people mean when they say do a tensed voice. And you push it until you get a crackle. That's what that is, okay? You're really engaging these muscles up here while doing a throat bass position. Now again, for me, vibration bass just kind of seeps through on its own. Didn't always do that. Okay, so don't expect that to come through so prominently at first. The key here is to combine these two areas of tension together. Now, I don't mean you want to fully engage these muscles and fully hollow out your throat at the same time. That's not what I'm saying. My point, the goal here is to balance these two levels of tension together. All right, so you're going to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know, how much of it depends on the person, I would assume. You're really just looking to balance the two out until you find a sweet spot where vibration bass occurs. And you'll know it when it happens, all right? So we're going to start low. I find it's easier this way. This is how I got it at first. So, all right, now we're going to do the opposite. All right, one thing that I can say is if you start with the hollow parts of the lower half first, and you sort of just gently, cautiously push in up here. So, that can help put things into place, all right? You can sort of use your hand as a crutch at first to find the right spot. I didn't personally do this at first. I later discovered that it actually worked, all right? I'm not actively internally changing anything. I'm just sort of pushing everything into the place that it needs to be with my hand. Once you get comfortable with where it is, you don't need your hand, right? You can learn how to do it manually. I mean, I guess either way it would be considered manually, but you get what I'm saying. I know that's a bit complicated. It might be difficult for some people to understand, but that's all I got, right? That's the way I figured it out. And so hopefully that can help bring a new perspective to anyone struggling like I was, okay? The second method, so I understand subharmonic singing. I can do it, but I'm not very good at it, right? Essentially, you're just engaging a vocal fry with a solid note, and it's sort of, it creates a subharmonic, right? You get that undertone effect. And all you're really doing is just making micro adjustments in your voice. It's not the cleanest, but that's the technique. So my point here with this method is you can possibly, if you know how to do subharmonic singing, you can sort of apply that to throat bass to achieve vibration bass. I actually tested this out. I don't know if this would work if you didn't already know vibration bass. For me, it works because I know it. But the same sensation in the voice that you get, the same micro adjustments that you're making to achieve subharmonic singing could potentially be applied to throat bass, right? If I mimic the way that it feels to activate subharmonics with my voice and apply that to throat bass, it activates vibration bass. Ooh. Oh. Yeah, it's a way potentially to get it. Like I said, I don't know. It's just something I came up with. I've never heard anyone really explain it that way, but I figured it was worth mentioning just to help anybody possibly get it. Now, the last way, the final method, is really only applies to one person. I don't even know if he's going to see this video, and that is D-Lo. So D-Lo struggles with vibration bass. He says he can't learn it. He kind of already can do it, but not fully, okay? His high octave vibration bass, which is evil bass, really, it's very closely related to vibration bass, true vibration bass. I can transition between the two seamlessly, all right? And this is what I was talking about earlier with my first method, where if you only apply the upper tension here, the throat bass, you could end up with a different sound. That's the sound I was talking about, high octave vibration bass. That is so close, like he's right there, okay? All he needs to do, or all you need to do if you're trying to get it that way, is hollow your throat out, right? Goes right back to the first method. Do high octave vibration bass and visualize yourself hollowing out your throat. That's all I'm doing. I mean, of course, there are other micro adjustments happening, but I'm not consciously doing it. The only thing I'm intentionally changing is the hollowness of my throat. If I do high octave vibration bass and hollow it out, I get true vibration bass. If I do true vibration bass and remove that component, it's very easy to transition into high octave vibration bass. Yeah, it's something I discovered. I'm gonna make another video talking about evil bass, potentially 2 videos, because there's so much there. I mentioned that in my last video, but high octave vibration bass falls in the evil bass category. I'm gonna talk about it more in depth in one of those videos. But you can, I just kind of gave a little brief tutorial right there, right? You do vibration bass and you sort of like close it off and sort of push it to the back, because that's kind of where it feels, is more in the back. not fully, but a little bit. Vibration bass is more in the front and it's more open. So you can kind of figure it out from there. But again, really that only applies to D-Low. So if he sees this video, I hope I can help you. Now, pain. This seems to be a recurring thing here where I don't feel pain from learning sounds. I promise some sounds really do hurt, but vibration bass was not one of them for me. I learned this sound pretty late in the game, just last year. So I had already been doing throat bass for a long time. It was one of the first sounds I ever learned, way back in late 2013. So yeah, I guess my false folds could have just potentially been so accustomed to being used already for so long that it really didn't make much of a difference learning vibration bass. I mean, I did experience that slight muscle strain up here in my neck, so that counts as pain, but in the throat, I did not experience any pain. The false folds did not hurt, right? Nothing internally hurt. I know vibration bass does hurt for some people. That's totally normal, right? Not everyone is going to already have been doing throat bass for like 12 years. So, yeah, if it does hurt, just take a break, stay hydrated, you know, all the usual stuff. It's important. Don't push yourself past your limits. You know, I have good days and bad days. You hear this a lot with vibration bass, people talking about it. It's not something you can always just do. It's a very delicate sound, if not the most delicate vocal bass sound in beatbox. Some days I really have trouble getting it out. Today is not one of those days. That's why I'm filming this today. I was waiting for the right moment, you know. It comes out pretty easy today. Some days it does sound even better. But yeah, so I mean, it takes time to be able to do it on the spot. You know, for a while I had to just start with throat bass every time and then go through the steps, and you know, eventually it became more second nature, and now I can usually just activate it on the spot. Also, you can pitch it, of course. It's very hard at first, even for me still. It's really hard to scale it, and sometimes I can't pitch it at all. Like, it just doesn't want to come out at all. So yeah, people who have mastered this sound, absolute respect to you, because it's tough. Like I said, very delicate. So yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for vibration bass. I know this is a long-awaited tutorial. I've been talking about it for a few weeks now. This is my second time recording this. The first one got corrupted somehow. I wasn't able to upload it, but finally got it done. Hopefully this one is able to be uploaded. My next tutorial, I'm not sure when it will be, but it will be about evil bass. Like I said, it might be split into 2 videos or just one really long one, because if you include hard bass, there's 12 variations, okay? 12 that I know how to do, somewhat. Yeah, next video will be about evil bass, potentially next couple of videos. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of that, and like this video if it helped you. I've been Nebula. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.